Hello!
Hello!
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Adam.
Welcome to I Love You But, where we talk about common relationship issues.
And our advice on how to deal
while we drink wine. But tonight we're drinking, I don't know, Adam bought it. So what is this? It looks like it's in a coconut.
I wanted to try something that I thought was like going to sound a little nicer, you know, and be like, oh, cool, and like surprise.
You said something about my wine choices?
Yeah. You suck at buying wine.
I do not. I'm economical about buying wine.
You're great at buying $5 bottles of wine. As am I. You've trained.
$4?
Oh, snap, dog. Above Charles Shaw, below everything else.
Shut up. It's not true.
I was like, oh, Chianti sounds cool, and it was $10, and I was like, cool. The bottle looks a little big, and I didn't think about it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll just get it. $10 bottle of wine, it's a good price point. That's the next step up. And instead, I found out that this is a 1.5 liter. That it didn't tell because it was just like fatter, and I was like, oh. So this is actually 2 bottles of wine, and
just in case we needed more.
Just in case we need more.
You got 2.
I got 2 because I didn't realize that they were each 2.
Well, he knew that tonight we were going to be talking about me versus us time.
You versus me time. Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
And
what are you doing? Coconuts.
The coconut tree. Yeah. Is it heavy?
No.
Is it like the weight of the world in the palm of your hand?
No.
Are you just going to keep pouring so it's less heavy?
Maybe.
It smells.
Oh.
Smells fine.
That was my second workout today.
You don't have to go to the gym.
You
lifted that bottle of wine so many times.
Okay.
It smells like cheap red wine so far. I got nothing other than that.
It smells like Italy.
Smells like Italia.
We also just opened it, so...
Yup. Oh, that could use some time.
Maybe we should have used the decanter or something.
Maybe we should have used the decanter, opened this before the episode, but you know what? If we still have that other bottle around next time we record, then maybe we'll just do it again, but we'll do it right.
Alright, we're gonna let this breathe for a minute, and then
so that we can breathe for a minute.
And then come back and talk to you about me versus us time.
Yeah.
This aerator's for my mom. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. I love getting to that point where I like don't give a fuck, you know? Which is what I'm hitting.
You don't give a fuck.
How bad do I not give a fuck?
Honey Badger, don't give a fuck.
Honey Badger, don't give a fuck. That was a good reference. You have the most beautiful laugh. And you have even prettier terrible sounds coming out of a terrible face. Yeah.
Did you just call my face terrible?
Yeah, it did. You made a terrible face.
You have a terrible face.
I don't.
You have a terrible face. That's what gets me in bed.
Look at how much wine that is. Look at it. It's so much wine. I mean, I feel great right now.
Do you?
I do. I'm such a lightweight. You know this. And welcome back. We busted out this little aerator thingy. And, like, Kelly's mom got it for her. And, like, it's cool and everything. Like, granted, if you're a skeptic, this does make this taste better.
It does.
For sure.
I think it took off the harshness.
It took off a bit of the edge.
Yeah.
It did. It really did. Some of the bitterness. And it was, the wine hadn't been open long enough for it to dissipate. So, like, it definitely was
been getting better.
The aerator, yeah.
But it's
We've also
definitely
been
not
getting
my
drunker.
Favorite wine.
No.
Adam's been getting drunker. Ew.
And if it's not getting better, we're definitely getting where we're going. We're definitely getting drunker.
Adam's drunk.
Yeah. I'm a serious lightweight. If you haven't picked up on that already. I'm like a 1 beer to 2 beers guy, and I'm like not driving home.
And I'm like a 2 bottle girl.
Yeah. So Kelly can outdrink me for sure until we move to hard liquor, strangely enough.
Depending on the liquor.
Me versus us time. You versus me, him versus her, guys versus girls, guys versus guys. Whatever the situation is for you. Me versus us time. So moving in together is wonderful and you want to spend all this time with the person, and that's great. That's totally killer. Rad. Points to both of you. But you still have to find ways to not be around the other person, because although
like all the time,
because although you're you and you're wonderful, you're still you, and I'm still me, and sometimes I want to blast Deja and Tandu walking around in my underwear.
I don't even know who that is.
It's a what? It's a record, and it's by Brand New. So sometimes you want to scream, hands down, by Dashboard Confessional, in your underwear, like, for no reason, while Pokemon's on, and you just want to do that. And you don't mind that your other person would be there, like, if they walked in, it'd be cool. But, like, you want to do it alone. That's, like, a thing that you want to do. That's alone time. That's what that's called. And
so that's Adam's alone time definition.
Pikachu, go! Hands down, this is the best day. Thundershock, I can't ever remember.
So
Venusaur. Okay.
So, when you move in together, obviously things change. So, like,
everything changes.
Specifically, your schedule changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you guys might not have the same. You guys might not have the same work schedule, or you might have the same work schedule. Maybe.
Great.
Well, it depends, because if you have the same work schedule, then you're definitely like always home at the same time together, and it's harder to get alone time. But if you have conflicting work schedules, then maybe you're never home at the same time and you never get together time, you know, so both can be pretty terrible. So, you know, you have to find that time when you
when you can watch Pokemon in your underwear screaming Dashboard Confessional?
Hold on.
I'm holding.
You have to figure out with your job schedule and your friend schedule and your social schedule, like, when you're going to see each other and when you're not going to see each other. Yep. So, you know, your schedules might conflict or they might overlap too much. And you also have to, you know, remember your habits. Like, your habits
are going to
be a lot different. Yeah, like people habits, like who you hang out with when you have alone time, like, you know, it's going to be a lot different. And something that I think that helps, what?
I don't even know if we've, like, mentioned this yet, but, like, people habits is important, because if you're with somebody who stays up really late with, like, 6 friends at her place or his place, that's a problem. Yeah. Because the other person, no need to go any further, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So when Adam and I first moved in together, you know, he had, like, 4 or 5 really good friends that he kind of hung out with, because dudes that aren't bros, that are sometimes bros. And I had, like, a lot of friends. And he'd be like, well, why can't we hang out? And I'm like, well, I'm hanging out with these people because when we weren't together, that's what I would do. I would hang out with all of my friends. And so, like, every day or every night of the week, I was hanging out with someone else. And he was like, well, we need us time. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I need to not hang out with so many people because I'm so popular.
God. Yeah, of course we need us time.
Yeah.
There's no us time, there's no us.
Yeah, but it's hard too because, you know, sometimes you want to mesh the together time with friends time. But, you know, you can have guests over and you can go hang out with people, but, like, it's still not, like, your together time or your alone time. It's a very weird situation. So although it's awesome to hang out with friends, it's awesome to have people over, even like over separately. Like Adam has friends come over sometimes to hang out, and like I'll go do my own thing, or same with me, I'll have people over, Adam will go do his own thing. But if you're somebody who's used to hanging out with a lot of people all the time, or not a lot of people a lot of the time, and you move in with somebody who's the complete opposite, it's not a problem. It's just
a dynamic you have to confront.
Yeah, I like that
It's
word,
a dynamic you have to deal with. Yeah, you have to figure out how to handle it.
Yeah, definitely.
And with, like, the guest situation, so Kelly and I have we're very fortunate in the fact that I really like all of her close friends. Like, when Kelly hangs out with them, like here, I'm like, fuck you for hanging out with your friends while I'm at work. Like, I want to hang out with your friends. Like, they're cool. And then she really likes all my friends too, and it's great. Maybe she's not as jealous when I hang out with them without her, but
sometimes
good people is good people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sometimes, you know, like I'll have a girlfriend or two over, and we'll be hanging out, and Adam really wants to hang out because he really likes them. But
way to make it sound like I'm like.
No,
fuck your friend?
No, it's not like that. We're all friends, you know. And we are all friends, but like. sometimes I just need a girls' night. You know?
And
Ladies,
you know what
I'm talking about. And bros, you know what you're talking about. You need a bro night.
100%.
But
yeah.
Adam will sometimes wants to crash my girls' night. And I'm like...
Or your girls' morning.
It doesn't... Yeah, whenever. It's a girls' night. It's a girls' time. But it doesn't always work because it's not that I don't want to hang out with Adam, but, like, I need my alone, like, personal time away from Adam. And I like to do that with some girlfriends sometimes. And if he's hanging out, it doesn't really work. So, like, sometimes he's invited and sometimes he's not.
To all of the other guys out there who had the same feeling as me, like, oh, your friends are cool, I want to hang out with you guys, like, and I wanted to be a part of that, and I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna do it, I'm friends with them, like, it's gonna be cool, and I sat down, and I didn't say a single word, because, like, this idea of girls' night totally dominated, and I genuinely had nothing, there was nothing, like, for me to say. Like, they were doing... I mean,
girl time is girl time.
It genuinely is just girl time. And I was sitting there and it clicked and I was like, this is why...
You weren't invited.
This is why not only like it was cool that I was there, it wasn't a problem, but like this is why they didn't ask me to go, like, or to come or whatever.
But sometimes we do invite him and it's great and we all have friend time and not girl time.
It's a different conversation that dominates that time. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. Just like my bro time where we get like hype and do guy things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, work on cars and lift weights. I don't do either of those. All right.
No. I think you also have to be aware that, like, since you are in a shared space and you obviously have friends outside of your significant other, you know,
hopefully.
having people over can be a problem because maybe you have people over too often and then it starts to not feel like you and your partner's space. It starts to feel like somebody else's space and you can't really be yourself or whatever. So, like, you have to have that conversation with, like, okay, this is too much time when this person or these people are over. I feel like it's intruding on my space, like, to live in my apartment, you know? So that's a conversation that might come up.
It should come up if it becomes an issue, of course, because you have to communicate that stuff instead of building any kind of quiet resentment. Kelly and I had this conversation not too long ago because I was having a big guy time kind of deal on Kelly's home work day off, meaning like Kelly wasn't at work all day, but she was at home all day doing a bunch of stuff that was very important for different other parts of her career, but she needed like a safe space to do that in, you know? And
I didn't really have a day off in my own apartment.
Yeah.
And we had to talk about it and we had to reschedule some stuff. So both schedules got moved around. It wasn't like, oh, you need to change everything that you're doing. It was, okay, well, let me change this and you can change this. And it all worked out, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Because I said something. We had to talk about it. I'm going to get more wine.
Yeah.
The other thing that you need to make sure happens, no matter where you are in your relationship, is having some alone time. So having some personal time, having some me time. Maybe it's even like personal, like, treat yourself time.
Hands down, this is the best day I can.
Okay, so that's Adam's personal time.
Remember.
Yelling, dashboard, confessional, watching Pokemon.
Team Rocket blasting off again.
Okay, so it's important to have personal time. And by personal time, it's what it sounds like. It's time without your significant other. Because at the end of the day, you are still an individual in a relationship. So there are two individuals that have individual needs, and not all of my needs are met by Adam, and that's okay. Some of my needs are met by myself. I need to read, you know, by myself. I need to clean by myself. I need to, I don't know, budget by myself, those kinds of things. And just having time to, you know, connect with yourself. And I know that sounds really cheesy. It's like, how do you connect with yourself? But like,
okay, though.
Yeah, you just, you need time to like hang out with yourself. And I feel like that's such a weird thing to say, because like hanging out to me is always a buddy system kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of like exploring freedom, which is something we don't always have a lot, especially like
have a lot of.
Yeah, whatever. It's something we don't always have a lot of, because like especially in your in your 20s, and then for a lot of people up until the 30s and 40s, like you're in this like grinding it out stage where, especially in today's age, you're like your career is at work, and then it's also at home, and then you have maybe a family and like all this stuff. So like that time of just total personal non-obligation freedom is just so important.
It is really important to just have time where you do whatever. Maybe you get an adult coloring book. I have one. Adam got it for me, and it's Bob's Burgers coloring book, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Something else that Adam got for me that I do in my personal time is he got me the Parks and Rec book written by Leslie Knope, who is my hero.
That's really funny.
And I read that in my alone time, you know. We need time away from each other with our friends, but also time away from each other just by ourselves so that we can be the people that we are in this relationship. Because I am not Adam, and Adam is not me, and we are not one all the time.
You before you get into a relationship, everybody always says you can't be happy with somebody else until you're happy on your own. That doesn't change. That doesn't change just because you're in a relationship. You still have to maintain that individual happiness completely separate of the relationship.
Totally.
And then you can continue to be happy together. And if you fall out of your own personal happiness,
which it really affects your relationship.
It does. And it's happened to us. And there are times when, I mean, you're with the other person because, you know, you lean on them and they support you, and vice versa. You know, and they're there in times of need. But like, if it, quite frankly, if it goes on for too long, you're unhappy as an individual, and then that strains, and then you lean on the other person, it will tear things apart.
Yeah.
So you have you have to stay true to that. Happy on your own before you're happy with somebody else. It has to be a foundation of you before it's a foundation of your relationship, and then it still has to be maintained, you know, over years, over time.
And it's okay to tell your partner, hey, I need alone time. And maybe you don't say it sassy like that. I do. But
hit swinging. I am get out of my house.
That's how I do it.
I thought it was our house. Get out of my house.
Right now it's mine. It's okay to tell your partner, like, hey, I need some alone time right now. Like, I mean, don't do it when you're in the middle of a fight. Or maybe do. Maybe that's what you need. But, like, make sure that it's a normal part of your conversation to be like, hey, I'm going to go do this thing on my own. Whether it's walking to a coffee shop or you can just go into another room. Sometimes Ab and I have alone time while we're in our apartment. And, you know, he's in the living room doing something. I'm in the bedroom reading my Leslie notebook. And it's wonderful and great. And we have that time, and then we emerge from our alone time feeling a lot better with ourselves, and then we can be better people together.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Word, dog. So we've talked a lot about alone time, and we've talked about us time, of course. But
and
like
with other people.
Yeah. And there was one other thing I forgot to say.
Okay.
When you do have friends over, even though like I could walk in my apartment at any time of day, 6 a.m. or 11 at night, does not matter to me. If like your crew of friends was here, it would not bother me at all. But you still tell me every single time. You still Kelly still texts me every single time. Because
it's your space.
Because it's our space.
And there's nothing worse than like coming home and like just wanting to like put on your sweatpants, not wear a bra, and like walk around and eat some mac and cheese and wine, and then you walk in and you're like, oh
what's
my
up,
God, there's
everybody?
somebody here.
Yeah. It's
terrible.
Even if you love those people and you're like, sweet, even if you could be in sweatpants, mac and cheese and wine in front of them. If you were literally in mac and cheese and or wine.
I mean, I probably wouldn't be, but
no. But like, if you were in front of them, you still let me know every single time, and
a certain expectation
and vice
that you
versa.
Walk into.
Yeah. So that
so
that I know not to leave a trail of clothes from the living room door, from the front door all the way into the kitchen.
Gotten a lot better.
It's gotten better because she has more people over. That's the only reason. I'm just kidding. No. So when you're working on together time, though, can't stress this enough. And this is something that we may always struggle with, and I'm talking like all of us together, not just Kelly and I.
The collective we.
Yeah, the collective we is to really be with one another.
Just
cell phones.
Be with somebody.
Yeah.
Just be there with them. Like, energetically, emotionally, physically, obviously.
It's so hard mentally sometimes.
It is because of technology. Like, I'm a fan of technology, and I also don't like technology because
it's the worst. If I could go live on an island in the middle of nowhere, I think most of us would.
What's funny is that when Adam didn't have a smartphone, I had a smartphone, and he took a few years to catch up. Like, he hasn't had a smartphone for as long as everyone else. So when
2014.
when I had a smartphone, I was on my phone a little bit, and not as much as today, but I was on the phone, and we would be hanging out, and he'd be like, "Why are you talking to me? Why are you doing this?" Because he didn't have email on his phone, he didn't have Facebook, he didn't have YouTube and Twitter and all of these things that take up so much of our time. ESPN,
wow.
Like, he wasn't watching football on his phone.
Oh my god! And I had a dumb flip phone until 2014. I'm like thinking about all the things I look on my phone every day now.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that.
Like 2 years ago. Yeah. Technology is crazy and amazing.
Oh my god.
Okay, calm down. Don't let your brain explode. Calm down. Calm down. Okay, so
we'll talk later.
We would go out, or we would be hanging out, and he'd be like, "Hey, like, put your phone away." And I mean, it might be work emails, or I might be responding to a text message, like something totally reasonable to be looking at my phone for, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, like, you're totally right. I need to put my phone away." And now that we both have smartphones, I would even venture to say that Adam is on his phone more than I am.
Especially in the last month.
In the last year. But
especially in the last month.
Well, yeah, but it all depends on, like, what jobs we have and everything. But, what used to be a problem for him, like me being on my phone all the time, it's switched. Like, he's on his phone way more than I am, and it's really frustrating. And, sometimes we have our phones at dinner or when we're hanging out because, I mean, one, you have them. It's kind of an extension of yourself now, which is crazy. But you also, if you're referencing something in conversation, you're like, "Oh my god, have you seen this video? Let's pull it up and watch it together." Like, that's totally cool. But there's this phenomenon of, hanging out together, but then you're just, like, scrolling on Facebook or scrolling on Instagram or searching YouTube or, like, adding to your Amazon cart. And, like, you don't need to do that when you're hanging out with somebody, and especially your significant other, because it can make them feel unimportant, even if you're both doing it. If you're both doing it, it's like, well, she's on her phone, like, I can do it. He's on his phone, I can do it. No, you're making the other person feel unimportant.
Lead by example and call them out.
Yeah, and
that you've mentioned,
you both should put your phone down.
Yeah, now that you've, like, talked about all those things, and I'm sitting here thinking about it and thinking about where it was before I had a smartphone, and thinking about, this one person who is on their phone a lot, the way you mentioned when we're together, like, I'm just legitimately mad. It just doesn't, you just gotta put it down. You have to. Because,
I mean, our virtual world is
not real.
Well, it's not real, but it is, I mean, it is real a little bit.
But it's also, it's not satisfying.
Well, that's not true. It can be satisfying, but
it can be.
The virtual world is fine. That's the virtual world, and we have it, and it's a part of our lives, whatever. But, like, this is not a virtual world. Like, the relationship that you have with your significant other is not in some virtual world. You don't need to be looking at a phone or a screen to see your relationship. And I think that can be really detrimental to people's relationships, like, because the virtual world is such a big part of our lives that we forget how to disconnect from it and actually connect with another human being. I mean, go to Starbucks and order a drink. You're probably on your phone, or the barista does not give a fuck. And, like, you're not connecting as human beings. But just think about even, like, 5 or 6 years ago, and you'd be like, "Hey, how's it going? What can I get for you?" Like, "Oh, hey, I like your lipstick," or whatever. Like, the human connection has really started to go down because of technology, but don't let that affect your relationship. Adam is really sad.
I used to be a nice guy. I used to talk to baristas.
He used to talk to me.
I used to know who you were. The really nice thing is...
You've missed 3 birthdays.
No, I haven't. Of our child, you didn't even look up to see if we had. I'm like, no. I'm just like Facebook. I'm like, oh shit, we have a kid on Facebook. Oh my god.
Wow.
No.
Like.
He'll get that. Or
Boomerang.
she'll. Yeah. No, oh man, I lost my train of thought. So Kelly and I have a thing, like if we're out like on an official date night and we totally are, it's just us and it's our us time, discussed previously, hold 9 yards, like it's intense, it's us time and nobody's gonna interrupt it.
Intense us time.
Yeah, it's where we sit there and go, "Grr." No, we over dinner. We just flip our phones over. We get fucking rid of them.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is and stupid is how much of a moment of anxiety sometimes there is. A lot of people I know have that feeling where they can't like actually put their phone down.
I think it's harder as, the years go on and technology becomes more part of our daily lives. But like, you need to make sure that it's not disrupting your relationship and that your relationship isn't purely virtual. Like maybe you guys only talk on Facebook or maybe you only post photos on Instagram, but you don't actually have, real connection in person because you're always on your phone or you're always taking Instagram photos. Adam is really sad by this. Wow.
Is that a real thing that happens?
Yeah.
Don't let that happen. Don't do that.
Listen to this guy.
Just don't do that. Oh my god.
Yeah. But I think this also emphasizes the point of when you have together time, you need to prioritize the other person. When you're together, you need to remind the person like that they are special and they deserve your time.
Special, so special, special. I don't remember what commercial that's from.
Are you touching my head?
I don't know.
Stop. This is how we together time.
Yeah.
We drink wine and he tries to shower me with affection and I say no.
Dragon face. Blah.
So that's how we spend our together time.
What were we talking about?
It's just good to keep your phone away from you sometimes, you know?
I'm just so sad.
Yeah. So, maybe if you're watching a TV show together, you both just put your phones away for the 30 minutes or hour
good
or
point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
We watch a lot of TV these days, right? There's Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all the streaming services. So, like, if you want to, if your time together is like watching a movie or watching your favorite TV show, that is awesome. We do that all the time. The other thing we do is sometimes we're both on our phones while watching a TV show.
And then one of us looks over and goes, "What are you doing?" And then we both put our phones
down. And sometimes we're like, "Wait, what happened?" And it's like,
put your
phone
phone down
and let's experience this art together. Wow, you're finishing that. It's amazing.
Was it over the Yellowstone?
No, I think it was maybe just two.
Just to the Yellowstone?
Just to the Yellowstone. So when you're talking about me versus us time, you really have to take into account your schedules and your habits, guests that you have over to your home, whether it's friends or family.
Mm-hmm. Letting your partner know that they're there and all that stuff.
Yeah, and having your own personal time, whether that means hanging out with your girlfriends or bros or just having separate time. Either
you're under underwear watching Pokemon.
Yeah, and maybe he's doing that in the living room and I'm in the bedroom reading. So like you can be in the same place, but like have your separate time. Mm-hmm. And then, prioritizing the other person and making sure that you are actually together when you're having your together time.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah.
So this has been I Love You, but we need to talk about me versus us time. We have a lot more Chianti to drink.
We do. We did not finish the first bottle. You can't see it, but it's not. It's a little past the coconut. It's like right here.
It's like
we
a third
still
of the way
have
down.
the other one to drink. So
not tonight.
We're gonna have some together time. And we'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Like, comment, subscribe. If you have questions, please ask your questions. We would love to get back to you. We would love to hit up stuff that we missed.
And let us know if you have a question that you want us to talk about on our video channel.
Always looking for ideas for new episodes. So give us those ideas so that we can answer anything that you have. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.